Well, welcome back to Cardboard Swords and another edition of the Player's Toolbox. With the announcement of Outsiders, we've got a new Ranger incoming. It's time for those Ranger staples. Let's get in. Now, both Rangers currently in the game have pretty different playstyles, so we're going to look at each one in turn. Azalea's coming back in Outsiders, so let's have a look at her first. The weapon of choice for most Azalea players is Death Dealer. Paying one resource each turn to essentially draw a card isn't a bad deal. And although after the release of Dynasty people were testing Sandscour, most people have gone back to Death Dealer. As far as Lexi players are concerned, there's only one real choice, and that's Voltaire Strike Twice. Although there is a Death Dealer and Snapshot combo build, Voltaire is the go-to bow. What Lexi players and Azalea players both agree on though is that Bullseye Bracers is pretty useful when it comes to an arm piece. Perch Grapplers also sees a lot of play in both builds, although for more aggressive strategies Snapdragon Scalers isn't out of place. When it comes to the head slot, each hero is very different, but each legendary really helps that hero's strategy. Until recently, Skullbone Crosswrap was about 20 quid, but with the announcement of Outsiders, that price has started to go up. If both these cards are a bit too expensive, Hone-In Hood is a good budget replacement, and we don't know what equipment we're going to get in Outsiders. Non-attack actions are a key part of Azalea's game plan, allowing her to go tall and manipulate the top of the deck. Seek and Destroy pairs well with Azalea's signature arrow and provides a buff and has a pretty devastating on-hit effect. Take Aim provides a buff and allows you to reload to fire another arrow. Read the Glide Path provides a buff and allows you to opt, and Not the Death Whistle lets you find the most devastating arrows from your deck. For Lexi's non-attack actions, she leans mainly into the Ice or Lightning Elemental cards, but one Ranger card that she is able to use to devastate an effect is 3 of a kind. Drawing 3 cards enables Lexi to go really wide and have some very big damage turns. If a Ranger's going to be a Ranger, they're going to need some arrows. One arrow that Lexi and Azalea both agree on is Bolt and Shot. It's a 0 for 4 arrow, but if its power is greater than its base, it gains Go Again, and on hit, reload. It's a must block arrow to prevent a go wide turn. And speaking of must block arrows, Endless Arrows also must block. Lexi can perhaps exploit it more than Azalea, but the card advantage that Endless Arrow can provide is huge. And Drill Shot is the new arrow from Dynasty, which is making its way into a lot of lists and quickly becoming a staple. Remorseless can appear in both Lexi and Azalea lists, although with Lexi fans it's losing a bit of favour recently. Perhaps the most devastating card in the game is Red in the Ledger, an Azalea specialisation. The card is nuts, it's a must run. One arrow that appears in pretty much every Lexi list is Frostlock, a blue arrow that if it's fused comes in for 4 and basically turns off aggressive decks. Blizzard Bolt is another elemental arrow that sees a lot of play in Lexi, and when you fuse this one, whenever an attack deals damage this turn, it will give your opponent a Frostbite. And Chilling Ice Veins fusion effect makes your opponent discard a card or pay 1. Going wide with these kind of on-hit effects is what Lexi is all about. Now Rangers don't really like to block, and defensively they are lacking a few tools. The defense reaction that sees the most play however is Take Cover, which blocks for 4 and allows you to reload. Now Reload enables you to put any card face down in your arsenal, so you can chain these together to get around things like Dominate. Now in Outsiders we already know that we're going to get a new Ranger hero called Riptide, who utilises trap cards. Now we first saw traps back in Crucible of War, but we didn't get much support and they've seen very little play. All the traps so far have been defense reactions that must be played from Arsenal, and perhaps the pick of them is Pitfall Trap, which blocks for 3 and deals 2 damage to your opponent unless they pay 1. If you want to get stuck into Riptide, pardon the pun, you might want to pick up your trap playsets now. Okay, onto the instance, and there's only one that sees play across both decks, and that's Rain Razors. You basically play this as an attack reaction, and it buffs all of your arrows that turn. Although with it being an instant, it does have extra utility in that you can buff an arrow on your opponent's turn to, say, pop one of those pesky dragons. A lot of Lexi lists also include Lightning Press, which has similar utility to Rain Razors, but it's not a Ranger card, so we're not going to include it here. And there you have it for the Ranger Staples edition of the Player's Toolbox. The card choices presented here were informed by the data collected by FaBREC, and a link to FaBREC is in the description. I hope you found the video useful. If you did, please like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.